coming to the toilet training information series. I know that this is a tough topic for a lot of people, and it can extend for a while into into quite a project. So hopefully we can come up with some ideas and solutions for each of you. We have a nice small group, so I'm going to go through what's here quickly, kind of an overview, but then we can spend the rest of the time really talking about each of your specific challenges. My name is Kim Klemick. I am one of the program directors for ABA here at Boston Public Schools. So, like I said, lots of challenges. We're going to kind of talk about what all those challenges are, and then kind of navigate through the beginning steps, and then get really into, okay, the specific challenges that you're running into. Sounds like these two kiddos have started the process and they're somewhat trained. They know how to go through the motions, but they're not still having lots of accidents. Your kiddo, Brandon,
yes.
Is he toilet trained at all?
Brandon was toilet trained at the age of 3.5 years time.
Okay.
Boston has taken 2 years to reverse his toilet training.
So now he's having accidents.
I don't even know what they are, because it seems to be lacking behavioral issues.
So it seems to be perhaps purposeful.
Oh, it's definitely purposeful.
Okay. Well, luckily we have a small group, so we can tackle each of these issues, and hopefully have some answers for you guys. Of course, the initial question is from lots of people is when to start. You guys have already sorted that out. Sounds like some of you started earlier than later, but making it happen. Don't necessarily want to wait too long, because then you have a lot more behavior to change, but some starting really early may be problematic, especially for kids who have special needs. The potty ring versus the little potty, what did you guys do in that step?
I started with the potty, but now he's on the potty.
Okay.
We bought more 4 different types and we just ended up on the toilet.
Yeah, we did the potty ring. We had the potty when he was little, and it wasn't even any interest back then. It was just kind of hung out in the bathroom for a while.
No thanks.
But now we get the potty ring, and he stands too.
Excellent. Underwear or pull-ups is always a big question. Did you guys, what were your decisions on that?
I started with pull-ups. And went to underwear. We still do underwear in the house. If we go out, we tend to use a good night is what I use.
Okay.
Pull up.
Yeah, he uses pull-ups at night. Yeah, so we went during the day, and started that February vacation.
Yay.
That transition.
Good
He's
job,
had a
team.
couple of accidents at school, but they say he's really good at school. He runs into the bathroom at school.
He tells you he's got to go. Again, I think sometimes he would like to take a break from the classroom, and he knows that going to the bathroom works. So it's a lot more motivating to tell somebody you have to go to the bathroom at school than it is at home when you're in the middle of doing something fun.
Right.
And so all of the little challenges, I'm sorry, I had to put this picture in here. Standing up versus sitting down. It sounds like your little guy is now doing the standing as well.
Jaden does both.
They do both?
Yeah.
So it's on the peak.
Okay. And that's okay if it's working for him?
It gets in the potty, there's no squirting in the back of the toilet.
Yep. And generally speaking, in public restrooms, they have options for one or the other. So, have you guys attempted public restrooms?
Yes, my son is 9, so we've done everything. It's just the regressions that I don't understand.
So, and you were saying he pretty much did all of this. He did
Yes,
on the toilet, public restrooms, no problem.
Right.
And now he's sort of having a different response.
It's either not wiping, and that's a key piece.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah. But waiting too late because he's in charge of the show that he's watching to get there. And I have no problem with me watching. It's a little girl having a period. Eventually this April because we actually ran our lawnmowers.
Because it was just too frequent.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. Okay, so we want to definitely talk about the staying clean and dry and getting clean, and then the whole going all of the time in the toilet as opposed to some of the time, and some of that nighttime toilet training. So it sounds like most of you guys are wearing the pull-ups at night. Are they generally wet in the morning?
Yes.
Not always.
Not always. Okay, so we can talk some about
There's been
that.
very few mornings it was dry.
Okay.
But even at that, he refuses to go right when he wakes up. It takes him a while to even attempt to go into the bathroom after he
Yes,
gets up.
yeah, I
So
have
then
to.
if and then if it was dry when he woke up, it's wet by the time he wakes up.
Yeah, I have to make Jaden go too.
Okay. So again, in your packet there are some other resources as well. Basically the bottom line is there are lots of different ideas and approaches to toilet training and all of the specific challenges. So I wanted you guys to have other options to take a look at. I can tell you the things that I've done and some of the things that have worked for kids I've worked with in the past. I mean, it sounds like you guys have some very specific challenges, so we can talk today, and then if you are looking for more information, there's some here. Nathan Azrin and Richard Fox are sort of big ABA names, but they also started toilet training research a long time ago. I gave you one of their papers in the back, like a short list. They do it pretty hardcore. So they have positive practice and sort of an overcorrection procedure, which you guys can consider. I have not implemented with most of my students because I haven't needed to, because they've picked up the toileting. And a lot of times what has happened in my past is that they pick up toileting and then they turn 3, and then, because I was not working for the school district for a while, so then they would turn 3 and I don't know what happened after that. And I've worked with some older kids who had some of the finer details to work on, but so I have not used the positive practice approach, but we can talk about that and kind of pluses and minuses to that kind of thing. And the second book I have not actually read, but it was one on Amazon that specifically said it targeted developmental challenges, so there might be some helpful information in there. So I'm going to just go quickly through this for the sake of people who may not be here, and then we'll get into the specific details. So talking about when to start, a lot of people have tons and tons of prerequisites and will kind of hold off on starting toilet training. I've kind of been of the opinion it can't hurt to try, and so I'm usually pretty flexible with the prerequisites. Being able to get to the toilet, walk to the toilet and sit is key. Tolerating sitting on the toilet is key, and I've certainly had children where we've wanted to target toilet training and they weren't sitting in a chair for longer periods of time, so we had to start there with, really just sitting on the toilet and being willing to sit in that space for an extended period of time before we really worried about the accidents and non-accidents, because you don't want it to be obviously a negative experience and be forcing your child to be sitting on this foreign object as they're resisting. So we do need to be able to get them there first, but that's something that we can always teach. We don't have to kind of wait for it to naturally happen necessarily. We can train sitting on the toilet for longer without fussing, and then we can move on. Some level of bladder control, just meaning they're not going constantly all day, every day, so that we can get into a pattern. If they're having lots and lots of bladder control issues, I know that there are clinics and things that work on that, and it may be a physical thing that they need to take a look at. But as long as they have, they don't even necessarily have to be saying, "Oh, I got wet," necessarily, because you can start to teach them to be more aware of that. One of the things about diapers and pull-ups these days is that they're really good at sucking up the moisture, right? So a lot of kids, before you start toilet training, don't have any awareness because they never feel it. So it's not until you put them in underwear that they actually experience that and start to pay attention. So I wouldn't say, you know, for families out there that you have to wait until they have indicated some sort of awareness. Because once you put them in underwear and they start getting wet, they're going to start to notice probably. And really it's the parental commitment. I think we talked about this a little bit, and I've talked about it with lots of families who are trying to decide when to start. And it's really about when parents are ready to, you know, stay home for a bunch of days in a row and just do toilet training. Because for the first little while, it's kind of hang out in the bathroom all day until it starts to get going. And so it's about when you can be consistent, because lots of times families want to try, but maybe it's a busy time, and so they're not going to be able to follow through with a schedule, or there's going to be lots of company who don't know, or you're going to be traveling or having to go out a lot. And so if you start off in a situation where you can't be consistent about it for a big chunk, then it's maybe not the right time to start. But once you have decided that, we can work on all the other pieces. Once you're ready, we can always try with the child and see if we can get them ready. And there certainly are times when I've had children where we've started and it's really been a struggle and we haven't been moving forward, and we've kind of put it on hold for a little while and tried again when they're a little bit older. But I've had lots of kids where parents have said, I don't think they're going to get this at all, and lo and behold, they're going on the toilet in not too long. So it can't hurt to try, really, is my philosophy. And again, it's obviously easier when, you know, the sooner you try, the easier it is for you and everybody else. So if you try it, hi, come on in. Are you here for parent training?
Yes.
Come have a seat.
Well, can I even my kids?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have anything super fun for them to do. There are some extra pens and things they can do some drawing and things like that if you want. How would they do with this? Okay, I can set you guys up with that. There you go, guys. Battery might die on you, but you can play as long as it will last for you. We're just getting started. You haven't missed much. We just went through and talked about the questions about when to start, and we're talking about basically that it's whenever parents are ready to give it a start. Is this your friend you're talking about right here?
Yeah.
Is he toilet trained at all? Or is
He's getting better, you know.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
well, but before.
Not yet. Okay, sounds like that's something that we're going to want to talk about. So I'm trying to go through the rest of this quickly for those people who aren't here, and then we'll really be able to focus on the specific challenges. So potty seat versus toilet ring, I won't spend too much time. There's pros and there's cons. I generally think it's easier to go with a ring on the big toilet so that you don't have another transition. But I know some houses are challenging where, you know, you spend a lot of time downstairs but the bathroom is upstairs, or vice versa. So it may not hurt to have a potty. Also, for nighttime toilet training, sometimes people have used a potty chair in the bedroom so that it's easier for them to kind of get up and go in the night without having to, you know, get all the way to a bathroom. And obviously, there's extra cleanup for that kind of thing. But if you have a child who's really, really, really petrified of the toilet, you may want to start there and see how that goes. But again, there's pros and cons to both of those. Diapers, pull-ups, or underwear. We've talked about this a little bit just before these guys came in. That's okay. But the way that diapers and pull-ups are made these days, they're really good at sucking up the moisture. So if you're not in underwear, they're going to have a much harder time being aware of being wet. It's a lot easier for me to say put them in underwear because I don't have to clean up the mess and do all of the laundry. But a trick that I tell parents a lot of times, if you are going to have a hard time keeping up with the schedule or you're going out somewhere, is to put the underwear on first and then do a pull-up or training pants of some sort. So it will catch the mess, but they'll still feel wet. And they'll still be able to notice that difference and be a little uncomfortable, and hopefully that will add some motivation to getting them on the toilet. And then just making sure you're ready, of course, before getting started. Lots of underwear. We were just talking about running out of underwear. You know, at certain periods there's lots and lots and lots and lots of accidents before you start getting on the toilet, so have, you know, tons and tons. Sometimes there's relatives that can give you tons of hand-me-downs, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But make sure you have enough, because it's shocking sometimes how many pairs of clothing and things like that. Figure out if you want to do toilet ring or potty. Maybe have both and try it out, but make sure you have the stuff. I usually recommend something plastic, something to cover areas of your home where you might not want them to get wet, or in the car if you're going to try and brave underwear, things like that. You know, throw some plastic down or whatever, so that's one less thing to have to worry about. If they have an accident, they have an accident. It's much easier to stay neutral if you're not going, oh no, no, my carpet is ruined. So those things help. Lots of fluids. If kids don't like to drink, finding something that they're willing to drink, because we want to give them lots of opportunities to practice. And then the big key is that very, 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 very potent reinforcer, that one thing that they're willing to do anything for, and making sure they only get it for going on the toilet. And then as we move along the process and they're going and they're urinating on the toilet without much effort, then maybe it becomes only for having a bowel movement on the toilet. Or it's only when you tell us you have to go, or go on your own without us telling you. You can kind of use that reinforcer and step up to the next step, but it has to be something that they can't get any other way. Because toileting is hard. It's not usually something they want to do. There's lots of other things competing with doing it. We were just talking before about, you know, they'll go if there's nothing better going on, but they're not likely to go if there's a movie or whatever. But if we can find that thing that they want more than anything else in the world, want more than that movie, then it's going to be easier to convince them to pause life for a minute and get up and go. Again, getting to know the schedule, and this, particularly for bowel movements, can be helpful because they don't happen all that much. Starting to try and track, you know, from the time they get up to the time they go to bed, when they go, you know, either when they're wet or when they're having accidents, you know, how long before they get up or go to bed, how long before after meals is it typically happening. Is it happening every day? I mean, some kids will wait a long time before going because bowel movements are not something they want to do. They really don't want to go on the toilet. They don't want to get dirty, and they'll hold it for days and days sometimes, which then escalates the problem, because then when they do go, it's quite uncomfortable. So really paying attention to that schedule. If it's an extended schedule, thinking about other things you can be doing to make it happen more frequently and make it easier and more comfortable to do, giving them more experience with it. As far as the intervals of how often you're bringing them to the bathroom goes, in the very beginning, I often will start with as short as 10 minutes. Granted, I'm usually doing this as I don't have anything else I have to do with this child. So if that may be a whole lot to ask, but you want to be able to catch them as much as possible going on the toilet. So you pump the fluids, you give them lots to drink, and bring them on a schedule very frequently. Usually you can get away with like half an hour, and then if you see that they're having lots of accidents and missing that, then maybe bring it back. Half an hour is usually a fair place to start. And then if you have a child who you know is really just not going to go until 10 a.m. because they've gone in their diaper overnight or whatever the case is, don't drive yourself crazy bringing them every 10 minutes until 10 a.m. when it's not likely that they're going to go. So you want to try and match it up with their schedule, both to catch them and to make your lives a little bit easier, because this is a pretty big commitment all the way through. So figure out that schedule. Keep them as close to the toilet as you can. With some kids who have either a really big bathroom or good space, like right outside the bathroom, I've really camped out. Set up a blanket, brought some toys, brought some books, brought, mini DVD player, whatever at first, so that every time the timer goes off, you can immediately be in the bathroom, and anytime you catch them starting, you can immediately be in the bathroom. And again, we want this to be positive, so we want to make sure that during toilet training, life is pretty easy otherwise, as much as you can make it. If you're doing it on vacation or whatever, just to start at least, to get in the process, you want it to be a positive thing. Or if you're taking that next step and saying, all right, we really need to have BMs on the toilet now, you want to make it a positive thing. We don't want to be forcing the child onto the toilet and punishing them because they're having accidents, and make the whole experience even more negative. Because especially for bowel movements, there often seems to be a bit of a discomfort and fear about the situation. So we want to make sure we keep that to a minimum, keep everything positive, keep the other demands low as we go. So we want to use the timer to keep everybody on track at first. Again, once you're on a consistent schedule and you're having accidents less frequently, you can stretch out the timer and start working towards getting them to request. Frequently doing checks. Initially it's dry checks, so like, hey, nice job keeping your underwear dry. For the guys who are having trouble mostly with the bowel movements, or just are inconsistent, wanting to really do those checks. Like, hey, you're staying clean, great job. We get to keep playing when we stay clean, when we stay dry, and keep reminding them that the longer they can do that, the longer they don't have to even deal with the toilet, and that when they do have an accident, it's an issue. Again, we don't want to be punishing about it, but naturally, it's a process that they have to go through. So reminding them frequently, hey, you're staying dry, that's great, let's keep playing, whatever the case may be. I usually, from the very beginning with kids, try and prompt them to request the bathroom, even when it's on a schedule, just to get that becoming part of their repertoire. So, the timer goes off, or it's, 1 o'clock, it's time to go try again, or you're about to get to go out and you want them to try again. Instead of saying, hey, let's go to the bathroom, prompting them to say, I want bathroom please, or I'm going to the bathroom. Pick a phrase. If they don't have words, handing over a picture of the toilet or a sign for bathroom, whatever the case may be, so they start to put that in the chain, that they can tell you that they have to go. They don't have to wait for somebody to tell them. And a lot of times at school, it does become harder for them because there is a schedule that is sort of a whole class schedule as opposed to a personal schedule. So it's really helpful for them to start to be able to ask. And or sometimes what happens at schools is they can wait for the schedule, and then at home there's no schedule, so they don't know what to do. Because nobody's telling them when to go, and there isn't a set time when to go, and there are other things going on. So so they don't think to tell you. Some of the things that I've done to remind kids that they may need to go to the bathroom, or that they can ask to go to the bathroom and or just get up and go, is have some of those bathroom pictures around the house where they're hanging out, just sort of, and or verbal reminders to say, you know, remember, if you have to go to the bathroom, just let me know, or come on in and ask me, you know, let me know if you need help. Often in the beginning they need help with, you know, getting the pants down and up, or getting themselves clean afterwards and things like that. So they're not necessarily able to kind of go in and come out without any help. We want to be building them towards that so that they can, and then that's great. But we want to make sure that they know that they can tell somebody and get help to go, as opposed to, well, nobody asked me, so I just went. And again, we want them to be doing the pull down, sit on the toilet, wipe, pull up, go wash hands. We want as much as possible for them to be doing that without our help and without extra verbal cues. A lot of times we get in the habit of, okay, now pull down your pants, okay, now sit on the toilet, okay, now flush, okay, now wipe. And then that makes them more and more dependent on us staying in the room for that process. So a lot of times I've used visuals to help them kind of go through the steps, so then you can put that on the bathroom wall and they can start to remember the steps. Otherwise, you can be sort of physically prompting their hands and their body to be going through the steps and practicing any of those steps that they may have trouble with, so that they can get to that point where they have to go, they run in the bathroom, they go, they're done, and it's not a big production. And they're more likely to do it when it's faster. You know, again, once they're at home and it's TV or going to the bathroom, if they know it's going to be this big, huge process, that seems not cool at all. But if they get to the point where they can do it pretty quickly, then maybe it's a little bit less of a big deal. Some kids don't want to sit on the toilet, and so having books, having toys and things like that, I think is okay. Especially if, like, you're trying to get that bowel movement out and you want them to sit for a while. Sometimes not thinking about it, particularly with the bowel movement, helps them to just relax. In the beginning, sometimes it might be a little extra distracting. So you want to think about that, but particularly if you're having trouble with the bowel movements and you want them to be able to sit for longer and relax about it and be able to go, having something to do, books or DVD player or sitting and talking or songs or whatever the case may be, as long as they're willing to sit there and give it a try. And a lot of times it really is something that is really hard to get them to relax, and so if you can get them not paying attention to that, and then it just happens, and you're like, hey, look, you're okay. and then once it happens a couple times, they can ease up about it, but unfortunately, it's not something that happens very frequently throughout the day usually, so it's hard to catch those moments. Again, if they go, it's a big party, and they get whatever super amazing reinforcer as quickly as they can. If they go into the bathroom and they don't go, that's okay, we'll try again later. If they have an accident, then I've gone both ways, where I've sort of, if they get anything in the toilet, particularly with the bowel movement stuff, because again, it's really hard to have opportunities for that. So with a lot of kids, if they get it in their pants, but you catch them in enough time and they get some in the toilet, that may be enough progress to throw a party and give the reinforcer so that they contact it. So that you can go, yeah, see, when it goes in the toilet, these good things happen. And then sort of back up to, you have to stay clean and dry and go in the toilet. So it sort of depends on your situation and your kiddo and how clear that's going to be for them. With some kids, it really is really, really hard for them to understand to hold it long enough, but they do start to get the idea that when something goes in here, good things happen, and then it starts to become easier to catch them. So it depends on your child, but that's something to keep in mind. It's not necessarily right away that you want to not reinforce if they get wet or dirty, or like in some cases have a line, you know. If it's just a little bit, okay. But if it's like full blown, they've done a whole bowel movement in their underwear, then maybe that's too much. But if they catch themselves, particularly I think if they catch themselves and go, ooh, I need to go to the bathroom, you really want to reinforce that. You want to support that start of being aware of that. So, and so if they do have an accident, again, you don't want to punish, but you want to show them that it's a bigger process than just going. So they have an accident, they should still go in the bathroom. They should still sit on the toilet. They should be reminded that this is where we go to the bathroom. They should be helping to do the cleaning up. I mean, I know that a lot of kids, especially when they're really little, aren't actually going to get themselves clean to your liking, but they should participate and do what they can and show them that somebody's not just going to come and clean them up and they're going to do nothing. They have to do something with this now. So it'll be easier for them if they do this in the toilet. So, you know, have them wipe, have them get the new underwear and put it on, maybe have them put the dirty underwear wherever it goes, so that they have to really be participating in this and getting to understand what a process it is, and that going in pants equals long process, going in toilet equals short process, and super amazing reinforcement and all of those things. There have been some families that I've worked with that after a big toileting accident put the child in the bath or the shower. Makes perfect sense, the child's a mess. Except if the child really loves the bath or the shower. Which has been the case with a couple of my kiddos, because then what's happening is you're actually reinforcing going in their pants, because they're like, I want an extra shower. I know how to get in the shower. I go to the bathroom by myself and then I get in the shower. So you want to be very careful of something like that. Again, I understand that you just got to get them clean sometimes, but again, maybe it's the case where if you have to wash them, it's quick and there's no toys and there's no fun, and you get them clean and you get them out, and if they then can request a bath later after going on the toilet, they can have super fun bath time, and that's great. You want to make sure that that the cleaning up process is not something that they actually like. The other thing is it often involves a lot of attention. You know, it's challenging to keep somebody still and not get stuff everywhere, and it's pretty gross and it's pretty frustrating. Yes, right up that way, to the right. So we want to really, really, really try not to give attention one way or the other. Because sometimes attention is attention is attention. Doesn't matter that you're going, I can't believe you went to the bathroom in your pants, this is gross, we can't do that. It's still more attention than you were probably giving them the 2 minutes before they had gone in their pants when you were trying to do dinner or do something else. So we want to be careful of keeping the attention to a minimum, keeping it neutral as much as we can if they have an accident, and giving as much attention as we possibly can give when they actually get it in the toilet, or when they actually tell us they have to go. Whatever the big target skill is that we're working on, we want to make sure that's when they get all the attention. And that's when things are easy and fun. Accidents mean more work for them, less attention, less time doing the things that they like. We want to really try and tip those scales as much as we possibly can in favor of go to the bathroom on the toilet. Because until this point in their life, it hasn't been worth it to them.
You don't do time out if they make an accident, do you?
No, I have not. The procedure that Azrin and Fox talk about is sort of a positive practice over correction procedure. which you could try if you really, really want to emphasize that having an accident is a much bigger pain than going on the toilet. So basically, you go through those steps of having them go in the bathroom, cleaning up the mess themselves, like if they got it on anything, cleaning, or, again, going through the motions at least of cleaning that up themselves, and then doing that over again 5 times or 3 times, however many times. So they clean it up, you bring them back, you prompt them to say, I need bathroom, they go and they sit for a minute, they wash their hands, they go back, you prompt them to say, I need bathroom, and you do it 3 times, 5 times, to really, really emphasize that if you had told me in the first place, or we had gone right away, it would have been quick. This is really long. That's as much of sort of negativity as I would ever really put in the toileting process, because again, you want it to be something that they do more, right? And if you're trying to increase a skill, you don't want there to be punishment associated with that. Now, granted, you want them to have accidents less, but it's all kind of connected. So, to my mind, keeping out the punishment is key. Again, sort of that positive practice and extending it a little bit and making them have to do the natural things that they'll have to do, particularly as they get older, I think is important to show them that this is a transition from when you were a baby and this all got taken care of for you to now you have to do it yourself. But I have never done timeouts or things like that. Again, you could also maybe extend the time they have to sit on the toilet to make sure that they don't have to go again, or some other thing that's, again, not ideal. That means going on the toilet the first time would be better. So, again, then once the accidents are kept to a minimum, we move on to sort of where you guys mostly are at now, is keeping it consistent, keeping clean and dry, trying other bathrooms, having them request and things like that. So now is sort of the point where I want to be able to touch base specifically on the challenges that you guys have and see if we can brainstorm. And since your kids are at different stages, you may all have some great ideas for each other as well, as far as how you got to that stage. Who would like to go first? How are we doing on time? Let me just double check. Okay, so who would like to give it a shot? Okay, so.
I'm blessed with a 9-year-old, and he potty trained fine. We did the book thing, we got some mini-seats, we got musical toilets. He ended up going to the bathroom on Sunday morning. I said, listen, tomorrow Sunday morning, and you're a big boy, you're going to be sitting on the toilet and go to pee. And he didn't. And he was getting wet and staying wet. So you didn't touch a potty training beer bottle.
Yeah, that's certainly something to do. I usually start them at least in just underwear, so you can see it. But if you want them to just...
I did that for 2 days, and he got it.
Yep.
2 days, he was absolutely set. Then the routine came. He would wake up every 2 hours, whether he wanted to go to the bathroom or not. He went to the bathroom every 2 hours. When he did a great thing, here is your schedule. It worked.
Excellent.
By 3 and a half, he was perfect. 2 years ago, he's been gone. So he's now 7 when he starts. All of a sudden, he's soiled. I'm trying to figure out, why does this kid not wipe it? We transitioned from one classroom to the other. The other teacher decided that she's going to wipe his behind when he goes to the bathroom. Now he has stopped wiping.
So he doesn't do it because somebody else is going to do it for him. Okay.
So now I've got to go back over this process, and I am not happy. Okay.
And this is where he's at
Yeah.
now, still with that same teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to talk with her about?
It's Christmas, she tells me. He likes having his ass wiped. I said, well, why are you wiping his ass?
Hey, of course he does.
He's 3 years old. Why would you be wiping his behind? Stop it, and stop it now. This kid is a one-to-one, so there's no reason for him to necessarily be taken someone, I can see if we were taking someone away from the classroom time, he's got someone assigned to him.
So they can take their time.
Exactly. This is just one more thing that I do not like.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a matter of not making somebody else doing it an option and prompting him to do it.
Well, at home
himself.
he's not doing, I mean, this was February vacation. It was literally a war. Because I go upstairs, I see something, then I see I literally just got up back and put bleaching soap in it and just drop them in there and so eventually everything became smaller and smaller and smaller that was in the drawer. And I said, I'm not giving you any new underwear to wear. Eventually I had to go open a packet until I get everything else washed. But you know, you don't want to have a week like that of vacation. That's just one more challenge that was necessary.
And it sounds like, I mean, one of the keys to, well, to everything, but to toilet training as well, is that consistency. So it's that everybody expects me to go on the toilet, everybody expects me to tell them when I have to go, everybody expects me to pull my pants up and down, everybody expects me to wipe myself.
Exactly.
And if there's inconsistencies there, they're going to test those consistencies.
My household is not, but it's currently in school.
Right.
Something, and now I've got to go deal with the school. I got to, from the principal down, this is going to have to be tapped.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he kind of knows what he's doing.
Oh, he's pushing buttons. He's pushing buttons. And April pushing mines. And so now he's got a little sore sense behind because I was not going to wipe it. Bottom line. The only time that I will touch it behind is when you're in the shower and I have to wash it out. That's it. It's all enough.
So in this case, it may be a matter of going back to the reinforcer or a reinforcer that worked for going.
He's going to get the biggest side.
And do that just for wiping himself.
Yeah.
The other thing with wiping that I have done with kids is if they've pretty much got the wiping thing down, practicing wiping until it's clean, until they wipe and there's nothing on it. And or if they don't really have that down yet, putting something on, whatever, ketchup or some sort of messy something on, and having them practice until it's clean, until they don't, because you can't really see what's going on back there, but until the papers or whatever that they're using are coming up clean. But yeah, it sounds like
We're doing it, but it's a painful process.
it sounds like for him it's going to be a matter of making sure you have that consistency across the board, explaining to everybody.
He got there, he was on a train, that was one thing that they didn't have to deal with.
It's often a challenge to get everybody to really understand how important it is for everybody to be on the same page.
It's important, it's expensive. We have to go get medicine, but he's a little behind. Because I'm not going to watch it. He has to get it clean. He has to. It's time consuming. It's aggravating. And you have to buy extra toilet paper because you consistently go through a roll maybe every 2 days. Because he has to get it right. This is not something that you want to do at the age of 20. You don't have to.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I think you're on the right track. It unfortunately sounds like you hit a really ugly bump with vacation. But it also, I mean, since vacation, I know it's only been 2 days.
No, nothing has changed.
He's still having accidents.
See, I don't call them accidents.
It's just a little bit of.
It's a matter of just not wiping.
Okay, so he's still going in the toilet, but it's unclean.
So it would have been totally
Okay.
in somebody else's house.
I've done my job on that front.
Within 2 or 3 years, 4, 5, you can understand. But it's a 9-year-old kid.
Maybe, I mean, could you, I don't know if this is possible at school and at home, but basically not giving him another pair of underwear until he shows somebody that it's coming up clean.
Well, basically what's happening is that he's got his room, everything, underwear drawer, sock drawer, t-shirts, whatever. So he can just go down and get what he needs in his room.
And he's going in and out of the bathroom kind of on his own.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh well, I catch now wiping when I have to take it sometimes. Because my whole thing is very simple. You're holding up. You can do this. You're big. You know how the routine works.
So maybe some sort of reward system intermittently for checking the underwear and making sure it's clean.
Yeah, I've decided that he has ideas. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, who else?
Well, I mean, we are having other help with it, with he goes to the
Right,
training
that
clinic, so
sounds
we
good.
have some, we just got some new ideas with, he wants a Ken doll. You know, obviously, all of a sudden he's into Barbie and Ken, but he's also into naked Barbie and naked dolls.
Uh-huh.
He's, you know, he
Getting
just
that
started,
curiosity.
he just got into underpants in February, so he's just discovered his penis and
Right.
the different functions
Right,
that
hey,
it
check that out.
performs.
Does stuff.
And he's very into it, which is kind of odd. I just think it's really strange. I've never seen, you know, I used to work with children, I never noticed them be that into the functions. I mean, he used to tell me, you know, it's big, mommy make it small, I'm like, well, leave it alone.
Right.
You know, I'm like, leave it alone. But he fights, he fights going to the bathroom. And the last couple of days coming home from school, he doesn't even want to come into the house, let alone try to go to the bathroom when he's home from school. So I'm like, just that one makes sense.
So having him go to the bathroom as soon as he gets home is a challenge because you're trying to keep coming in.
Yeah, just getting off the
Positive.
bus, he's telling me that's not my house, I don't live there, you're not my mommy. He lives in outer space.
He really, really likes being contrary.
We get him in there. No, I don't want to go, and bring him all on. He goes right away.
Yeah.
He's all set. And then sometimes he fights it so much that
That by the
it's
time
not
he
gonna
gets
happen.
in there.
Yeah.
It's
he
not gonna
holds it.
happen. And he holds it.
And then the poop, sitting him on the toilet, he'll fight getting in there, and we have the computer. We have one of those little VTech computers for him. And he loves playing with it. And he'll fight getting in there, and then he'll sit in there and he won't come off. He won't come out. He won't be doing anything in the toilet, but he's playing with the computer and he won't get off the toilet. It's like, all right, it's been 15 minutes, let's go. But it's always, everything's always.
I mean, it sounds like many things with your adorable son. He is quite adorable.
She's worked with him.
Everything he says is funny, which is a little unfortunate because it's really hard not to laugh. But it's always sort of the power struggle that you have to take out of the equation. Because when it doesn't seem like his idea, even if it's something that he really, really, really likes, he's going to tell you he doesn't want to do it just because he
We've been
didn't
having a
say
lot of
first.
volunteers in the last month, probably. A lot.
So, I mean, again, I think one of the big pieces with him is taking out as much attention as possible, not engaging in those debates with him about it, not having the conversation about it, whether he's, having accidents in his pants or whether he's telling you you're not his mommy. Again, he knows. He's used this kind of tactic before because he knows it kind of
Oh, he did it
gets...
to his sister today. He says, I'm not your brother. She's 2.5.
Oh, no.
The lip came out, she came over to me, put her head down. I mean, he's doing it to her, and now he's causing her to go backwards. Because she's been doing very good potty training. And now she'll stand there and say, I'm peeing. And tell me she's peeing. I'm like, well, there's the toilet. So yeah, so now she's regressing because she sees us arguing with him, and
So at this point, if he has a bowel movement accident and then goes in to sit on the toilet, does he have the computer while he sits for more?
yeah.
So it may be time for him to really, really differentiate that. Like, if you go in your pants, I'm gonna prompt you in there.
And I honestly never have him do any of the cleanup because it's more of a mess.
Right.
I actually went in the other day, Trisha showed me that there was poop on the sink thing, the cabinet,
Right.
because he was sitting there by himself and he got poop on his hand, I guess, and wiped it on the sink cabinet. I'm like, oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I know that it may be challenging and you maybe want to choose what that looks like, but having him take some steps. I mean, again, you're gonna have to probably clean it for real,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to help him, but making him go through some of the motions of cleaning up, and again, doing that without conversation. You know, maybe making some visuals for him, you know, when I stay dry, this is what happens in the bathroom. When I have an accident, this is what happens in the bathroom, and this is what I have to do. And so you can be kind of pointing to it and whatever, and again, you know, kind of physically prompting if you can without the big struggle. I mean, obviously, if he's had an accident in his pants.
See, after he's pooped, he'll run into the bathroom.
Well, that's good.
He'll run into the bathroom to get cleaned up, but.
Because he has one on. Yeah. That's
So
what she
again,
said.
But like I said, yeah.
He tells us to say aw. Say
Aw.
again, he's like, he wants you to say something.
Yeah, he tells you how to respond to it. But yeah, he's, and that, he told me, it was, what day was it? It was like, I was having the family over and he peed all over the living room. He peed in his pants, he had a big puddle in the living room. And I put him in my family was like 5 minutes away. And it was like St. Patrick's Day or something, everybody was coming for dinner. And I put him in the bathroom and I was obviously angry. He's like, you can't be angry. You can't. I said, yes, I can. I am allowed to be angry.
That's also the day when it was on.
No, that was Easter.
It's 12.
Easter, the whole family was over, and he went into the bathroom and pooped in the potty by himself.
Did everybody have a party?
Without the potty seat.
Did everybody give him tons of attention?
I don't think anyone knew except for me. I did.
Yeah, he came in and he told me, so I congratulated him. But I think he was embarrassed, like everybody was
Right.
around, so he didn't want to say anything.
Well, and that's certainly something to consider. I mean, I'm always like, throw a big party, unless it's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be a
gonna be
birthday.
embarrassing.
Unless it's not what they're going to want. But, you know, and for stuff like that, if something happens as sort of that next step where he went all by himself without even telling you, see if you can come up with something even extra special. Oh my goodness! That deserves, you know, the video and, I don't know, something else. What else, you know, like, make it even that much better because you want to really emphasize that. I think the bottom line for him is making him be part of the cleanup process and making your words and expressions be less part of the cleanup process and more positive and exaggerated and whatever when he's doing the good things, and or, you know, more stuff, bigger stuff. If he really wants this Ken doll, maybe there's a chart.
Yeah, well, that's what they suggested yesterday, to do a chart and to check for dry and clean when he comes home, and if he stays dry and clean till bedtime, he gets a sticker for staying dry and clean, and then, you know, for X amount of stickers, then you're gonna get a Ken doll.
And so for him, maybe it's stickers for dry and clean, maybe it's an extra sticker if he goes in on his own. You know,
we haven't implemented it yet, but I mean, we tried the sticker thing in the beginning, and he wanted nothing to do with it. That's one of my problems with the reward. He's never consistent on
what he wants.
what will be
Well,
acceptable.
yeah.
Like I tried with lollipops, you know, little dumbed down lollipops, and it worked for like a couple of days, and he's like, no, I don't want to throw the lollipop.
You want to try and keep it short, at least the first time. Like, have it be maybe only a day or two before he can earn, you know, and if the Ken doll is super expensive, maybe something smaller, or maybe you do the big thing for now, and then the next one, you try and extend it a little bit so he can see that it's actually going to happen, and then he can pick something else. And, you know, the stickers don't mean anything if he doesn't really want the thing he's working for. And so if he changes his mind on day 2 and is like, I don't want Ken doll, all right, well, you can pick something else. You know, we can change that and put something else up there, or when you get it, we can go to the store and pick something then. You know, whatever is going to be most motivating for him. But I think picking the specific behaviors that get those stickers, so it's, you know, whatever, half an hour with clean pants, dry pants, each half an hour gets a sticker, and or if you tell me you need to go to the bathroom and go in, you know, off of that schedule, you get an extra sticker. And if you have an accident, you're going to have to help deal with it. And again, I know logistically easier said than done. I'm not saying, you know, leave everything dirty until he makes it clean. But start him going through the motions. even the simple motions of, you have to put your dirty underwear wherever it goes, or, you have to try and wipe, you have to, you got it on the cabinet, here's a clean it. Again, with as little talking and expression as possible, because he also is pretty smart with, you don't necessarily need the words. He knows. You can tell by expression, you can tell by tone. So trying to stay as neutral as possible. I know it's easier said than done, but I think for him though, it's key, and keeping the battle out of it.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't want to go to the bathroom, okay, remember we're earning, $10 for clean and dry pants. If we have an accident, we have to clean it up and leave it be. If he doesn't go in the toilet, he doesn't go in the toilet. If he goes in the toilet, he earns an extra sticker. If he stays dry, he also earns a sticker. It's up to him. Again, it's about getting that balance as tilted towards him deciding to do the right thing, as opposed to battling and telling him to do this. You want him to choose, but you want to make it really easy for him to choose the thing that you want him to do. What other big issues for you guys?
My son, he's doing pretty well with the thing, but he doesn't want to. I'm sorry, my English is not.
It's okay. You're doing fine.
Uh,
Will he not sit?
he sit if I'm with him, if I'm with him, but he doesn't do nothing. And he flushed it, like telling me like, I'm done, I don't want to do nothing. And then I start making something in the kitchen or something, and he goes along on some corner and do it.
I've had kids that have done this a lot. Because it's sort of more natural for them. They've been doing the squatting in their diaper thing for longer than sitting on the toilet, and the way that we actually sit on a toilet is not particularly natural for our bodies. It's a transition for how it feels and all of that. So two things. One, when he's going off into the corner, as best you can, prompting him into the bathroom, because he has to go. And getting him to see if you can get him to sit a little longer and not think about it. Distractions, maybe a book or songs or whatever. So he's not thinking about it, because I think he's probably holding it, like purposely trying to not go, because it's concerning. I think also when he has an accident, putting it in the toilet and flushing it and sort of getting him to be able to, like, hey look, it's okay. And if he's doing well with the peeing on the potty, maybe starting to save that special reinforcer for going on the toilet, having a BM. And for him, it sounds like, since he really doesn't even want to sit on the toilet, if he starts in his pants and you can get him on the toilet and get even a little bit in there for the first time, give him something really good. Because it sounds like for him, he really is afraid and doesn't want it to go in.
It's like, I don't know if we feel like uncomfortable in the toilet, but it's not like it bothers him. It's like he prefer, I don't know, he prefer be alone. I don't know.
My son does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you kind of step out for a minute? But then he won't sit.
Sometimes he can stay for 1 minute or less. If
So you
I'm
kind
not
of need to be there to keep him sitting, but then he's not necessarily gonna go. So what you might want to do is some of that practicing sitting on the toilet for longer. Get a timer maybe. We're gonna sit today for 2 minutes, and then you can even kind of step out a little bit if you can. Give him a book or something to look at, and if he stays on the toilet, then he gets some sort of reinforcement. So he's sitting on his own a little bit longer, and then you have more chance that he's going to be able to go. Did you have something to add? Oh, that's okay. You can join right in. You know him pretty well too.
It's hard because he doesn't speak
Mhm.
and he doesn't like pay attention to rules or
Mhm.
like.
He doesn't like that stuff. Are there like squishy toys or
He
things
likes
like that?
drinks.
That might be something you can give him while he sits on the toilet, so that he's willing to sit and again just sort of relax and not think about it, especially in those times where you know he's likely to go, where he's just been in the corner about to start, or you know he hasn't gone all day, or you know he goes, at the end of the day. Those times where you're pretty sure he's got to go, see if you can get him sitting for a little longer. And if he can't sit long, maybe have him sit for a few minutes, let him get up, have him sit again in just a short time. So he doesn't have as much chance to go in the corner, and he has more time on the toilet, and eventually it just sort of comes out, and then you throw the big party, and usually after that they're like, oh, that's not so bad. But then then we move on to the convincing them that they should do that every time, which is again reinforcing for those keeping clean and dry, and making it harder if they go in their pants and things like that. And for him right now, he's really little, so I don't know that having him really be a big, huge part of the cleanup and stuff like that.
He can put it in the toilet so he knows it goes.
He knows it goes in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good step. So I would say for now, it would just the first step for you is extending how long he'll sit comfortably, because sometimes it does take a while to go, and trying to get him to sit, particularly when you're convinced he's got to go. If he's just gone recently, don't push it so much. But if you know it's about time.
I know when he wants because he take off his underwear. He take off, and I know he wants because he doesn't like to do it with the underwear. He take off, and I know he wants, and I take to the bathroom, and he flush. And he wait until I am busy doing something.
And then maybe something, if you can have everybody who's around be cueing in to, if you see him, bring him, so it's not just dependent on you because he's smart
It
enough.
doesn't on me or her.
Right. But if she could help too, kind of keep an eye when she can. If you're cooking, remember, keep an eye. And if he starts to do that, bring him to the bathroom, so he has less chance again to kind of do that. I'm sorry. Other questions, concerns?
I was just saying that, but he will sit on the toilet. He will sit on for a while,
And
and
he
he
just
won't go. But then, as soon as he gets out of sight, he'll do it, and he'll come back to me and say, Mom, why you push the bathroom on the toilet? And he's ready to pull it off.
Yeah.
Of course.
It may be, a lot of times it is this is a private kind of thing, and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable and stressed, and it doesn't make it happen. So if he's willing to sit, maybe have him sit and, do something. I mean, people bring magazines into the bathroom for a reason, right?
I usually give him a book.
And maybe
And I'll let him pick something.
and kind of step out and give him some time. And
I'm usually in and out.
Yeah.
Because he'll get up and start messing with
Right,
something
right.
else in the bathroom, towel.
Thank you.
no problem. Yep, go. Don't forget that in case you want to, and I'm going to grab this so I don't forget it. But yeah, maybe having him be more part of the process and showing him
Well, we
that
do
it's,
go through the motions. I do
Yeah.
that with him. 'Cause he's very helpful with stuff as far as things around the house. He likes to help do a little bit of everything. So that's
how often
not
do you
the
have him
problem.
sit? Is it like clearly he's got to go, or you're just trying
Well,
to?
usually when he has to pass his bowels, I can tell.
Mhm.
He has this expression on his face
Right.
and whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's go to the bathroom. And we'll go to the bathroom, we'll get a book, we'll go to the bathroom. And I might sit with him for the first few minutes, and then I'll leave him. And then I'll go back, make sure he's still sitting. Whatever, and I'll leave him. And I'll go back, and he might be up messing with something. And I'm like, what are you supposed to be doing? And then he'll sit back down, and I might sit with him for a little bit. And we go back and forth like that. And it could be as long as 30 minutes, and he may not do anything.
One thing I tried with a student, and it was sort of a long transition and it was hard to transition to that next step, but was if he really is going to continue to go in his pants, or to have him at least try and do that in the bathroom. To like go to like maybe get a pull-up, like he knows he has to go. Have him get a pull-up, go in the bathroom at least and do it. You know, try and sit on the toilet. If it's not happening, maybe put the pull-up on, but he's got to kind of hang out in or near the bathroom because that's where we go.
Okay.
And then slowly start transitioning more to like, it's really got to go in the toilet. Sometimes it's a positioning kind of thing too, like.
Well, I mean, I've sat down with him sitting on the toilet. I've sat on the tub, which is near the toilet, and he'll put his head on my lap,
And that
and I'll
feels
rub the ball,
better.
the rear of his back, and he'll go.
So yeah, it might be just sort of finding that comfortable position. And
Yeah, but I can't do that.
no. But but teaching him, like, okay, so remember, you can put your head down and trying to figure out a way where he can get in that position and relax in that way and take you out of the equation. Teach him to rub his belly. Teach him to put his head down.
No, it's his back.
Or his back, or whatever. Teach him to kind of do that, or teach him some other kind of relaxing something to try and keep, because it sounds like once he's relaxed, it helps.
Yeah.
And try and take you out of that equation as much as possible.
I just throw in like, with my son, I have like a TV tray, like those trays that you can watch TV and eat. I have one of those in the bathroom. It's a foldable one, so it collapses, but so he has a platform to put his computer,
Okay,
he'll
and
lean
you can
over on it
that. That's a good idea. Yeah,
when he needs to go.
Yeah.
Just put his weight on the
Yeah.
table.
that's a good idea.
Or sometimes having like a stool or something to get those feet
The feet
just
up,
sort of
yeah.
up in a different position sometimes helps. I had a child once actually standing, like squatting over the toilet.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times, and I've seen him do
It
that.
didn't work out that well because it wasn't very stable, but again, you could tell that they wanted to go on the toilet. They were trying to sort of get their body in a way that they could make it happen. So it sounds like that's maybe where he's at, which is good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry to have kept you long.
Yeah, we're gonna go get the ones what they want.
Thanks for coming so much, and again,
Good time.
this and all of them are on YouTube. That's the address.
Okay. Did you really? Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
SpedPac puts it up so you can ask them for it, and/or send me an email and I can,
They sent out a global email if they're on SpedPac.
Painted the bathrooms at the Haley last week. Because they were so gross.
Nice.
So me and a couple other parents went and painted the two that are in the